Hello everybody, what's going on? It's Heen, and today we're going to be playing some more Drift City. Well, not necessarily playing it, but today we are going to go over one of the most debated questions in Drift City, which is, what car is truly the best for all game modes? Now, I'm not saying that there is one certain car that's the best at all of them, but there are definitely cars that are best at doing the specific tasks that they need to do. One, for example, is racing. We have HUV, we have Rush Time, we have Neo City, we have Undercity. There's a bunch of different game modes for various types of cars, and they all perform a little bit differently, have a little bit of bonuses to them. So, what I did is I went through all of the cars currently in the game, up to the new edition of Prana, and I took a little bit of a roll sheet here to see what cars fall into the categories for each side topic. So, first topic I want to talk about is the most important one, is racing. The best racing car in Drift City. Now, I held 3 criteria for a car to be held onto the racing list, which is the car size had to be small, the car's speed needed to be greater than 220, and the car's acceleration needs to be greater than 220. Both of these stats require to be that high. And these are the following cars that I got. I got Boxy. Oh, no, I probably shouldn't start off with that. How about I do more of my grading criteria? Next thing is I awarded points to the vehicle based on how good its bonuses were in comparison to the other ones. So I weighed them accordingly like this. Any kind of booster recharging, start booster, 1.8 mile per hour speed increase, got the car 1 point. Drift booster got the car 2 points, as well as having 2.4 mile per hour speed increase would also give it 2 points. So a 3.6 mile per hour increase or a 10% speed reduction would give it 3 points, and a 20% speed reduction would give it 4 points. So I'm going to go through the list of cars, and I will tell you what cars got which points. And this is just purely off of the bonus stats. They all meet that racing criteria, but there are some that have better stats than others in some certain places. So let's go down the list. The first car is Boxy, which has none. We have Panda, Rotary, Fondo, and Above Mini, which all had 3. Compact has 1 point. Fate ST, Monza ST, both have 2 points. Navara, Shark, Genius, Gigas, URE3, Aria, CLO, and Ferber all have 3 points. Then we have a bunch of ST cars that have 5 points, and I'll list off all of them now. We have Eco, Wave, Grace, G6, Morago, Imagine, G-Wing, X-Arrow, Mattia, and Sven, all having 5 points. Actually, all having the same bonuses that are kind of consistent up until 1 point. I forget exactly when that is, but I believe it's around Wind ST being released. So let's go back to them now. We have Shadow, Hunter, and Rosso Xmas all get 3 points. Mento Mini gets 3 points. Cantata, Pietas, NSRO5, they all get 5 points. Jimmy gets 1 point. SR13, Aqua, Noble, Rachel, they all get 5 points. Titan and Arena Mini both get 3 points each. NPHS, Start, Rapido, Wind, 321Z, 324 Spider, N1ST, Silhouette, Alicia, and Aries all get 5 points, except for N1ST, which gets 6 points. Sorry, put that one on the list of the others, because this is where they start to change. Venom ST also has 6 points. 8ST has 4 points. Albeida ST has 5. F-Wing has 6. Dragoon has 3. Evolve has 5. Comet Mini and Wave Mini both get 3. Rage ST gets 6. Now, what I also did was I checked for the cars with the highest base speed and acceleration, because those are the 2 most important stats and are the 2 most important stats when it comes to racing. And the 2 cars that held the highest speed are Venom and 324 Spider, which both have a whopping 292 top speed. Well, that's not the top speed for them, but that is the amount of speed points that they get. And the highest acceleration points is 297 on the N1ST. And then I kind of went down the list and kind of picked the best cars based on what they had going for them, as well as the amount of points that they have. So I chose 10 cars. 10 cars that would be considered the best cars for racing in Drift City. 5 of which are the best cars outright, and well, the other 5 are outright the best, and they're very affordable. as in they're for newer players or players that don't exactly want to shell out a lot of money into this game. So, coming in at number 5 for the best car, period, is Rage ST, whopping an astounding 282 speed points and 271 acceleration. Rage ST is a great car. It also soars 6 points, having a 20% speed reduction as well as a drift booster, I believe. So that'll put it in the number 5 spot. Then in the number 4 spot, we have F-Wing ST, which also soars 6 points, because I believe it has the same exact bonuses that Rage ST does. I could be wrong, though. It actually might have the same bonus. Yeah, no, it has the same bonuses that N1 ST has. It's packing 285 speed and 263 acceleration, making it a pretty competitive car. Next is 324 Spider ST. Now this one only scored 5 points, but its speed and acceleration stats were pretty impressive at 292 speed and 284 acceleration. Then in the number 2 spot, to surprise everyone, is the N1 ST, which is the most popular car raced right now. But I gave it that because it doesn't have as extreme speed stat. It does have a very nice acceleration stat, but the best one actually, with 279 speed and 297 acceleration. Now, for the best car for racing in Drift City, in my opinion, is the Venom ST. Venom ST has 292 speed, 283 acceleration, and 6 points. And those stats added together, I would say they are one less than the N1 ST, but it does have that edge on speed, where the acceleration and speed aren't that dramatically apart as N1 ST has. So yeah, those are my grades on them. Of course, one of the things that I kind of put into account, but not much, is handling. I'm very unfamiliar with Venom ST's handling, as well as 324 Spider and F-Wing's handling, but I do know that Rage's handling is very good, which is why I put it over the top, especially because it had 6 points going for it also. And I've tried N1 ST, and I was not very fond of its handling, which kept it away from that number 1 spot. And now I'm going to go down the 5 best affordable racing cars. And I'm going to start at number 5 with Arena. Now, Arena does not meet my original criteria of having a small size. However, it does have good acceleration and speed. I don't have them written down in front of me here, but I do know that the car boasts some decent stats. Boost being its lowest, I believe, or durability. It still makes it a decent race car. It has no side abilities. It's a coupon car that you get for winning 3,000 races, and there are usually coupons in the auction house to grab that. So yeah, definitely a good car to choose. In number 4 spot, I put Jimmy. I would put Jimmy farther up if the coupon wasn't so rare and expensive. The coupon was given out in an event, and the car... Oh yeah, that's another criteria that I didn't specify right away. In the affordable car list, every single one of these cars, except for 2, comes V9 when you use it, when you buy it. So there's no V-up process with that at all. It's very cheap in that sense. Okay, back to what I was saying. The next car is Jimmy. Jimmy has Turbo Start as his ability, which is kind of nice. Most racing sets will require Start Booster, whether or not you have an expensive set or not. Being the most common viable racing set being the Mafia and the Secret Agent set put together. A set even more affordable than that would be, I don't know, like a level 55 set. And even with that, you're probably going to end up running 1 3-mile-an-hour plus Turbo Start if you don't have the money to buy those bigger converts. So the Turbo Start wasn't a big saving point for it. The coupon's a little on the expensive side. And yeah, I think it belongs in the number 4 spot. In the number 3 spot goes the Compact. Compact is a much cheaper coupon than Jimmy, and much easier to obtain, but the downside is it comes at V8. The stats on it were relatively good for racing as well. It also boasts Turbo Start, I believe. So the same reasoning for that. I just put it above Jimmy because of its affordability. The next spot I gave to Runner R. And Runner R comes V8 also, and the car boasts Drift Booster, which is not necessarily a thing that most cars will have. And you can't really have a part for it unless you have a Shinoya Beta Booster, which I don't think anybody in their right mind would actually run one now. You could always buy the little bonus part in the F4 shop to have Drift Booster for a day, but it's not necessarily affordable to do so. The Runner R coupon is slightly more expensive than the Compact coupon, but the car is just overall better. And the best racing car that is affordable is definitely Navara. Navara is one of the first V9 cars you can usually acquire, being that it has no acquirement aside from you having money. How much money? 100,000 Mito, which doesn't take long to get at all. It's almost like new players can easily pick up the Navara, and Navara has some pretty good stats. I believe it's boasting somewhere around 220 speed and 250 acceleration. It's definitely not a Dura heavy car. So yes, the best racing car that's affordable is Navara. And I also have some other notable mentions here. I'd like to mention Duel, the original, drift booster car that everyone had to get their hands on, which is also a very good racing car, I'd have to say. And Cinco is another coupon car that they gave out as an event. It's not as popular as Jimmy, but the car still boasts pretty tasty stats. It's a little bit heavy though. And also any V9 base car that you get at V9. Utopia is another one. The stats one is good, which is why I didn't put it on here. As well as Gigas. Gigas has very low acceleration, which kind of took it off the list also. But if you can make up for that, you could definitely most certainly use the car. Next thing I want to get onto is the best car for Undercity / HUV. Now, I put these two in the same category because, Undercity is you kill HUVs and HUV is you kill HUVs. It's entirely Dura based. So definitely it's going to be one straight shot for both of them. Now, of course, Undercity has you have to drive quickly to certain checkpoints in the second round of it. But you can easily get around that by running a quicker set. That's not really like a car determinant, it's more of a speed determinant. If you have a top speed of around 220 miles an hour, you can easily do Moon Palace and Koinonia, Undercity, but Crash might be a little hard, but I think you can still get it done. Any of the routes. So yeah, these are the requirements for a good Undercity / HUV car, which would be Dura over 220, and an assist requirement. So the types of assist requirements I allocated to be a good Dura ability were critical hit damage, chasing damage, and speed reduction on Crash. Now, I didn't want to give too much points to speed reduction on Crash. I did so because there are some older HUV cars that have that as an ability, and I definitely didn't want to rule them out. But I give her a critical chasing damage. Every 1 point you have in critical chasing damage every percentage you have in critical chasing damage will give you 1 point. For chasing damage, it's 0.5 points because it's not as valuable, I'd say, because most of the time you will be scoring those criticals to knock them out. As well as speed reduction. Speed reduction will give you 1 point for every 3%, because it's not necessarily a great HUV mechanic. And a lot of them do have 3%, which is why I chose 3. Okay, let's go down the list here. We have Goat, which is a V1 event car during the harvest. I don't think they do it anymore though. You could probably pick one up in the auction house pretty cheap if people save those up. And Goat's gonna earn 6 points. Monster is a V4 coupon car. Very easy to get, doing 10 Undercity, and Undercity is a very fun game mode. So, just find a couple friends and get those done out of the way, and you can get a good car for it also. Also, Tyrant X is a Christmas event car, and that also gets 6 points. It's actually funny, Goat, Monster, and Tyrant X all have the same abilities, giving it those 6 points. Another car to mention is Tyrant XCT, which was another Christmas event car. It was actually the one above Tyrant X. Not as many people have it. It's a much rarer version of it. But that boasts 11.66 points, because I gave 1 point for every 3. Speed reduction, and honestly, it's debatable that I actually shouldn't give any, but since so many cars had it, I decided to give it to it. 2 other cars that shouldn't really be on this list, but because I just had to include the durability limit like I did, Axis ST and Allied ST are on this list, and they both get 3.33 points, and they both have Drift Booster. So if you like to have Drift Booster to get your speed up after a crash, that's definitely a good thing. I didn't really give it a point value since it's not vital to HUV, but yeah, definitely worth looking at. Acrobat is on here with 5 points, and I believe it has the ability to increase damage upon consequential critical damage. I'm not sure what that is exactly. I I just gave it 5 points. I assume that it's like 5% critical chasing damage that got mistranslated or something. If anybody can figure out what those abilities actually do, there's actually several cars on this list that have that, and I just gave some random point values too. Definitely leave a comment down below, and I will take a look at that. F327, it's also an event car a while back, which is its V's ranged from 1 to 8 when you got it. But they're a pretty cheap car, and it has a boasting 12 points. And that's purely on chasing and critical damage. So there's no questions about those 12 points, and it's absurdly high. We have Convy with increased chasing damage. I gave it 3. Brocken with increased chasing damage, also gave it 3. Hybrid has 20% speed reduction, I believe. Right? No, maybe not. No, that's way too much. I don't remember what it is, but it has 3.33 points. So it gets that. And Prime, I gave 4 points. I believe it has the increased consequent chasing damage and not the critical version of that. So that's why I gave it a little bit more points. Alright, time to go down the list of the best cars for HUV. And every single car is on this list. One thing to mention though, the highest durability of these cars is Tyrant XCT. Tyrant XCT has the highest durability in the game at 265, which is only above the other competitor cars by about 10 to 15 points, which is not that big of a stretch. 10 to 15 durability points does not do much. So yeah, let's go down this list here. The best car in general. These are cars that are not exactly affordable. Some of them are. I mean, some of the cars that are less affordable than others might be better at HUV somehow. Let's take a look. At the number 5 slot, I put GOAT. GOAT is a little on the expensive side, so I put it down there because this is not really obtainable and it's an event car. It boasts that 5% extra chasing damage as well as that 3% speed reduction. Monster, also having those same abilities, gets the number 4 slot. It's cheaper, and I guess it's you get it at V4 as opposed to GOAT at V1. So that's very nice to have. The next car here is Tyrant X, and I put Tyrant X up higher because it boasts higher durability than both GOAT and Monster. But at the same time, it is much more expensive than Monster and GOAT. Exponentially more expensive, speaking. So if you're definitely looking for a cheaper car, this is not the car to go with, but it does have those same abilities that GOAT and Monster does have. The next car on my list is going to be Tyrant XCT. And the reason behind that is the fact that its secondary ability is not exactly useful to HUVing. You don't exactly need that 5% speed reduction. It does have 10% critical chasing damage, which is very, very nice, the best of its kind. But the car that is going to be at the number 1 slot is the F327, boasting those 12 points on my scale. And it has 7% critical chasing damage, which is still really good. You could definitely get more critical chasing damage from your parts, as well. Like, you know, there's the Pumpkin Plus box gives you some. I know that. There are definitely some sets that came from EU DC that are going to have those abilities anyway. So you could definitely make a HUV set out of them. It's also going to give you 10% chasing damage as opposed to Tyrant XCT's 5% speed reduction, which I think is valued a lot more. And notably saying too, the F327 is much, much, much cheaper than Tyrant XCT. Tyrant XCT is absurdly expensive, sometimes exceeding prices of 1 billion Mito, as opposed to F327, which you could probably find someone selling it for around maybe 10 million Mito for a V5 or V6 version of it. And now we're on to the affordable list of cars. It's not going to differ too much from the best car, but you can see where we have our competitors there. The the bottom of the affordable list is Acrobat. It's kind of funny because Acrobat costs 30 million Mito, but the 30 million Mito is going straight to the drift shop. So you don't need to wait for any car auction house to actually buy it. You can just buy it right away. It does have that increased consecutive critical chasing damage or whatever. I definitely want to know what that means, guys. Please, if you do know, please leave a comment. That would be very helpful. We also have Convy with the increased chasing damage. Convy's very cheap. It's just a very cheap car. You get it at the V4. It's a little cute Dura car. I'm not sure how much the ability really affects it, but I put it down there. It's a very nice touch. Next car on the list would be GOAT. GOAT as I spoke about earlier, it's a pretty cheap car to get if you get it at V1 when the auction house is open. I believe you can get them for under $1 million because there's just so many of them. But yeah, definitely a good car. We have Monster in the number 2 spot. Once again, very, very, very cheap car. Probably the cheapest in this list, maybe a little bit more expensive than Convi, but it is definitely the car to go with because it does have that chasing damage +5, and it's going to give you that -3 speed reduction. And the car at number 1 in the affordable slot is the F327. The car that is the best Dura car in the game is the F327, regardless of it being compared with the very expensive cars or being put to its test on affordability. And that is because that the F327 is still a very cheap car in comparison to the other competitors. For what you get for the Mito in comparison to Acrobat, Convi, Goat, and Monster is just so much more. Like, for example, a Acrobat will cost you 30 million Mito in the drift shop. When the F327, paying 30 million Mito for that in the auction house, you could probably get a V6 one in this terrible inflated economy. So I just had to give it the number 1 spot. Definitely the best HUV car in the game, hands down, the F327. And the next topic is rush time, and rush time is going to be a very, very quick topic because there were no real requirements for rush time. Rush time is just a game mode that anyone could really participate in. It comes down to 2 sides of rush time, actually. What are you doing rush time for? Well, most people do rush time not to kill the boss, because in order to kill the boss, you need to have at least 40 people with very good durability parts to do damage to this monster. I believe in the older forms of Drift City that I do not recall too well, the bosses were killable, which is good times. But as of now, the boss is not killable. So I'm going to say that durability cars, the same list there, would be good for rush time if you're trying to kill the boss. But that's it. Like, if you're not trying to kill the boss, do not use the HUV list, the HUVing cars list, or the Undercity car list. It's not worth it. The only requirement I really had other than that is the fact that you're going to rush time to drop parts. What kind of parts are you looking for? You're looking for hyper parts, because you can't necessarily get them any other way. They drop very, very infrequently. Specifically the acceleration, durability, and booster hyper parts, because you cannot drop speed parts this way. The only way to get hyper speed parts is by doing deliveries. Excuse me. As well as Neo City and hyper parts boxes can give you those level 75 and 80 parts that are very hard to drop. But that's it. That comes down to the car with the best parts drop as its ability, and there's only one car in the game that has parts drop as its ability, and that is Cobalt. Cobalt is a V4 car that'll cost you 840,000 Mito, but it's going to boast that 10% parts drop rate, which is very nice. The ability doesn't seem to work very well. I'm sure you can notice it if you use all those CC items. They each boast 10% parts drop on them. You can get your parts drop as high as like 150% with that. It's pretty nuts. Especially if you use the double item drink. Definitely gonna work out for you. But also the problem with Cobalt is the fact that the drops scale with V of your car. So the number 2 spot I'd say is for any V9 car. I guess I'm just going to go right to the affordable ones. Nevera, Utopia, those are your big 2 right there. Then Gigas, then Arena, and then Torero. They're all V9 right at the start. Maybe even you could even include Insinco and Jimmy in there, because there's a coupon cars that are going to give you that V9 right away. So yeah, if you guys have a V9 Cobalt, that is your best bet. But since it's coming V4, you're going to need to get the thing upgraded. And now we're on to the last game mode. Well, okay, I skipped one game mode, VHUV, which basically is going to be the same category as Undercity/HUV. So yeah, don't worry about that too much. Nobody really does VHUV anyway, which is quite a shame. Next, the last list, guys. The last list here is Neo, the best cars for Neo mode, and unfortunately for this, there are only 2 cars that have Neo-specific abilities, and they are on the list, as well as 1 car I thought I'd throw in a little bit later after I did some deep thinking about it. And the first car here is Panzer. Panzer is a V7 coupon car that you got from the, the third harvest, I believe. It's the same one that you got V-Star, as well as the Panda 2 coupons and the Incinco coupons. And this car is going to boast its ability, which is going to give you -5% damage received, which doesn't seem that major at first, but when some missile shots are going to be doing 250 damage to you, when you could take off a whole 20th of that damage, like, that's some solid damage you're taking off. You're taking about 12, 13 damage off of each shot, and that stacks up if you're getting hit by a lot of missiles. It's also going to give you an increased firing rate on all of your weapons, and this is very, very big to have that weapon cooldown time on that cannon. You want to be dishing out that damage as fast as possible. You want to get that booster low so you can go hide from the boss as he's killing your teammates. This is what you want to do. So I'm just going to tell you right now, I gave Panzer the #1 slot here because of that ability alone. The other car on this list is Acrobat. Also, in terms of price, these cars are about the same price. Panzer being a rare coupon car, you have to look around for it a little bit. It might cost you 30 million for a coupon. Acrobat's going to run you 30 million if you just buy it from the shop. I guess it has the slight affordability edge on it, but you know, it's still the car that it is nonetheless. Acrobat, you're getting a V5, Panzer, you're getting a V7. So look at that too. Acrobat does boast 10% weapon damage, which is very nice, especially on that cannon. That cannon's putting out, I believe, 1200 base damage, but now you're doing that extra 120. That's gonna be pretty nice, especially on people that you can. I believe those Camaro hubs. They're normally a 3-shot, but they're left with very, very little health. So maybe the Acrobat can, like, 2-shot them, which is what you want, definitely. Especially if you stack it up with that attack base multiplier item you get from the shop. And at the #3 slot, I know I did this out of order. I was told by a friend of mine, well, not a friend, I guess, a fellow YouTuber, Megaspeed. He was talking about how he used Albeida BT, and I looked at Albeida BT because I normally don't look at the BT car's abilities, but Albeida BT actually has the highest booster recharge rate of any car in the game. It has a 50% booster recharge rate, which is on par with the more expensive booster item. Then it gives you 50%. So if you use Albeida BT with the booster item as well as any other items that give you booster recharge rate, you will get your booster back very, very quickly, and that is ammo that you need. So if you don't have anywhere to hide and you need that boost now to fight this guy, it is definitely going to be there for you. The only problem with that, and the reason I didn't put it higher than Acrobat, is the ability wasn't exactly Neo Direct. The car also has Turbo Start going for it, which could be nice. Not too much though, so don't worry about that too much. Definitely going to give the #3 slot. Anything below that is going to be any car with booster recharge. It actually doesn't matter the V either. Most BT cars after the big 4, I think, which would be Fate, Monza, Shadow, and Hunter, I believe most of them have booster recharge rate as their BT ability. I know some other cars do as well. I'm trying to remember which ones. I apologize. I believe one of the cars that has it is Fervor. Fervor does have that 20% booster recharge rate, which is nice. But yeah, that concludes my Neo portion of this video. And this brings me on to the last part of this video. What car is the best car in Drift City? And the requirements for this were that it had to meet both criteria for Undercity, HUV, and racing. So a car that you can not only race, but you could take out into the game in HUV as well. Okay guys, so the best car in Drift City. And I have 4 cars that fit into the category. Some of the cars actually do not fit into my criteria simply because they don't meet all of the stat requirements. And these are the cars that get very, very close but do not quite make it, so I'm going to give them an honorable mention, and that is 3 of the 4 cars do not meet the requirement of having 220 or more in every single stat that I require to be good for those game modes, which being Dura, acceleration, and speed. So basically this kind of award of the best car in Drift City would be the car with the least amount of boost. And can we really say that? We can, yeah. We can say that the car with the least amount of boost would be the best car in Drift City, because that boost is not exactly the most important part of Drift City. Booster duration time can be easily altered without affecting boost points at all. Even more so, there are sets that specifically give booster time that people use, rather than giving booster points. So boost as a particular ability or point value is disregarded. So an easy way for me to find these cars was to look for the lowest boost points I could. So the 3 cars that became very, 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 very close, but didn't quite make it, I give you here. So the first car on this list I like to mention is Skylark. Skylark is boasting relatively low boost, giving it some relatively high durability. I believe it's around 200. Its speed and acceleration are both over the set requirement at 220. It has no side abilities, of course, because it's Skylark. It's one of the base cars in the game. So if you have a V91, good for you, because I think that car could potentially go somewhere. Especially if they make a mini version of it, because a mini version of this kind of car would have the relatively same stats now. And I believe that Skylark had pretty good handling. So let's look out for that car in the future. Next car I want to talk about is Caliber. Dodge Caliber in this game has very low acceleration as well. All these cars are very low acceleration. The Caliber's durability is extremely high, making it a great hovering car. Its speed and acceleration are just a little too low for it to meet those requirements, but it's definitely on there. It's not small either. That's the other thing about all these cars, and none of them are small. So they do not meet that requirement, except for one of these cars that is technically small, and I'm going to get onto that after the number 2 spot. And the number 2 spot goes to Duel, and I was not expecting Duel to have these kinds of stats. Being the Bugatti Veyron, I was expecting it to have a lot of boost, able to maintain that high speed for a really long time, but no. Duel has very low boost, it actually has very high durability, as well as speed and acceleration. It does not quite make the 220 requirement. I believe the only stat that it meets the 220 requirement on is acceleration. I think it has 219 speed, if I remember, so it's very, very close. Its durability is also very, very high. Just give too much points to boost to do that. And finally, guys, I'm going to tell you the best car in Drift City based on stats. And not only is this car based on stats, this car actually has extremely good handling, and it is one of my favorite cars in the game, and that car is Titan. Titan boasts an astounding 232 speed, 236 acceleration, and 240 durability, giving it a whopping 90 acceleration. I'm not sure if those are exactly what the numbers are. I'm just thinking of them off the top of my head. I do not think they're right. Don't hold me to them, but I know the stats are around there, and they're definitely, the first 3 stats are definitely all above 220. Actually, I think they're above 230, which is amazing. And why can I give it the Best Car in Drift City award? Because not only can you buy Titan straight from the in-game shop, that also means that people do sell the V9 form of this car relatively cheaply. Now, I'm not saying it's very cheap to pay around $400 million Mito for a car, but in comparison to some of the other V9 cars you could be purchasing, which can go above a billion Mito very easily, this car is definitely there. And not only that, the car does have a mini version of it, and the mini version of it is not tainted by the same old history of old mini cars that all had the same stats. This mini Titan does have very similar stats to the old Titan, still maintaining 220 points or more in both speed and acceleration, as well as durability. Now, over 220 durability on a mini car is pretty astounding. But not only that, the Titan Mini is going to come with Drift Booster and Turbo Start to give you that little extra edge. So, I'm definitely going to go out here and say that Titan and Titan Mini, specifically Titan Mini, would be the best car in the game, being able to do racing as well as Undercity and Huff. And definitely the other car to look out for if you're looking for an extremely affordable option, even though the coupon's kind of expensive. Duel is definitely a good way to go. Being a V7 right away, having Drift Booster, it's a very decent. It's definitely an honorable mention on my racing cars, as well as having some decent durability at V7 by itself. So it's a great car for completing missions if you're still completing missions in the game. I might even be able to still participate in Hub if you get a good Hub set for it. Actually, no, definitely can participate in Hub. Who am I kidding? If a V9 version of this car thing's got over 200 durability, you're set to go. So yeah, that is my final verdict. The Titan is the best car in the game. If you guys have any discrepancies with what I say, please leave them in the comments below. I'd like to hear your opinions on what is the best car in the game. I know a lot of you are going to be trashing on me for saying that N1ST is not the best car in the game, and some of you might agree with me. Some people might actually try to rearrange the list a little bit. A lot of people might say the Tyrant XCT is better than F327, and I really don't think it is. As well as, you know, N1ST being better than Venom, because I've never driven Venom, so I really don't know for sure. A lot of people also like 324 Spider, even though the side abilities aren't as good, I believe. A lot of people drive F-Wing, so I don't think that's going to be up there. Rage ST, definitely. I've heard some good things about that, too. So definitely leave the comments below about that. And also, if there's any cars that I didn't include on this list, please feel free to mention them as well. The car that I'm racing in my video that I showed you guys is the 321Z, and it is my favorite car and my race car, but it did not get on this top 5 list because of its stats are not exactly ideal. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and this is Heen signing out.